Hello again, Indah Melindasari from Wonderland Consulting. I have over 10 years experience as a migration agent and was once a migrant myself. Please click subscribe to get all the best Australian immigration content and updates. Firstly, I want to say COVID rates are on the rise with the introduction of the Delta variant into Australia. And this has made what was already a difficult situation into even more a difficult one. I just want to say on behalf of myself and the entire Wonderland Consulting team, we hope everyone is staying safe and healthy and that we in Australia and around the world will get through this if we work together. Now, let's get started with the latest immigration news for August 2021. Part 1. Update on borders and travel restrictions. Prospective Marriage Visa, the subclass 300 holders will be eligible for travel exemptions. Travel exemptions now needed for permanent resident and citizen to leave the country. Part 2. Changes to business and work visas. 3 new pharmacist occupations attached to the PMSOL. Western Australia is open for Business Innovation and Investment Visa for 2021-22. Parliamentary Committee recommends easing permanent residency pathway for skilled migrant workers. Australian Agriculture Visa offers pathway to permanent residency. Part 3. Other immigration and visa news. New penalties have been proposed to protect migrant workers. Australia's Afghani evacuation mission. Let's start with part 1. Update on borders and travel restrictions. Australia has maintained a very strict border policy during the COVID-19 pandemic to try and contain and manage the pandemic. One aspect of this has been requiring travel exemption for those eligible to travel to Australia during this time. Partners, whether a spouse or de facto of an Australian citizen or permanent resident, have been an exempt category and may travel to Australia without an individual exemption. There has been many complaints from engaged couple where the Australian citizen or permanent resident partner holds a prospective marriage visa subclass 300 and they have not been entitled to exemptions. However, the government has announced that this will change and that under the new regulations, holders of prospective marriage visa granted within a certain time period will now be eligible to apply for travel exemption. Under the new directive, those that have been granted a prospective marriage visa, the 300 subclass, or have lodged at least 12 months before submitting the travel exemption request will be eligible. This means if you applied for a subclass 300 visa on or before 18th of August 2020 and you have now been granted your subclass 300 visa, you are eligible for an inwards travel exemption on the 18th of August 2021. Sticking on the topic of travel exemptions, the Australian federal government announced that to leave Australia, Australian citizen and permanent resident who usually live overseas must obtain a Leaving Australia exemption. And this arrangement starts from 11th of August 2021. There is a transitional period until the 7th of September 2021 if travelers who arrive at the airport without an exemption will be allowed to travel if their status as an ordinarily resident overseas can be confirmed by the officer at departure. Evidence of living overseas will have to be provided for the travel exemption, which include foreign government-issued documentation, for example, foreign driving license, foreign government-issued residency card. Evidence you have an established and settled home overseas, for example, tenancy or residential agreement, utility bills, rate notices. evidence you are employed or have ongoing business interest overseas, for example, letter from your employer or employment contract in a foreign country, business tenancy agreement. Part 2. Changes to business and work visas. On to skilled migration. Starting with the update that 3 new pharmacist roles have been added to the Priority Migration Skilled Occupation List, or PMSOL. The addition of these roles to the PMSOL is to assist in the vaccine rollout to try and reach the vaccine threshold target set by the government. The occupations that have been added are hospital pharmacists, retail pharmacists, and industrial pharmacists. The PMSOL now has 44 occupations listed, bringing more opportunity to skilled workers looking to stay in or migrate to Australia. The PMSOL applies to the following employer sponsorship visa subclasses: the Temporary Skill Shortage TSS, the subclass 482, the Skilled Employer Sponsorship Regional, the subclass 494, Employer Nomination Scheme, the subclass 186, and the Regional Supported Migration Scheme, subclass 187. On the business visa front, Western Australia has opened its Business Innovation and Investment Visa Program for 2021-22 year. This announcement was made on August 4th that the following visa categories were now open for state nomination: the subclass 188A, Business Innovation, 188B, the Investor, and 188C, the Significant Investor. These visa programs are a way to bring investment and businesses to specific states and territory, and considering the long road to economic recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic, they are a way to benefit the applicant of starting a business or investment in Australia, and also benefiting the state with the reinvestment requirements. The State Nomination 188 visa for Western Australia's investor stream and the Significant Investor stream both require applicants and any dependents to live and work in Western Australia. The main difference is the amount of investment you will be putting in, while the investor stream requires an investment of at least $2.5 million. The Significant Investor stream requires an investment of $5 million. If you are interested in applying for the state nomination, you will find a link to an article with further information and an explanation of how to apply in the description. In what could be some very welcoming news for skilled migrants, the government has been looking at options to make permanent residence pathway more accessible. A parliamentary committee looking into the skilled migration program has come up with a number of recommendations to ease the process, as Australia is reliant on migrant workers, and especially in this time of economic recovery. The recommendations included that all employer-nominated visas should have a clear pathway towards permanent residence, along with the following changes to requirements. The first one, raising the age threshold from 45 to 50, capping English requirements at vocational level, reducing the number of years of working experience to 2. Also, with these changes, they also recommended that the minimum wage for skilled workers in non-regional areas should be increased, as it has remained the same for the last 8 years. Moving on to another possible pathway to PR, the Agriculture Minister made a statement that the new agriculture visa, set to be released on the 21st of September, will include pathways toward permanent residency and regional resettlement. The visa is a response to ongoing and long-standing labor shortages in the agriculture sector. In the initial announcement for the visa, it was said that it will be targeted towards Southeast Asian and Pacific nations. However, the Australian government has still been negotiating with the potential countries, and as of now, no countries have signed up for the program. Part 3. Other immigration and visa news. Now for other news. In a bid to protect migrant workers, part of the Working Holiday Program, and a possible crackdown on exploitative practices in preparation for the agriculture visa, the Department of Home Affairs has released a draft amendment called Protecting Migrant Workers Bill 2021. The bill proposes new criminal offences and civil penalties to further protect migrant workers from exploitation such as overwork or underpay. This bill will include harsher penalties for these practices, more oversight from the Australian Border Force to ensure that employers are meeting the criteria, and banning employers that have broken certain rules from hiring new employees for a certain period of time. And finally, this past week, many of us have watched the desperate situation unfolding in Afghanistan. As the Taliban has taken over the country, there has been an emergency effort to try and get as many people as possible to safety. The Australian government announced that there will be 3,000 places set aside for Afghan nationals in the humanitarian visa program, and that applications from Afghan nationals will be given priority. Top priority will be given to locally engaged employees, or LEEs, who have supported Australia's mission in Afghanistan, along with those who have not met the threshold for Afghan LEE certification, but who have a connection with Australia and includes extended family members of Afghan LEEs settled in Australia. Family visas and citizenship applications for Afghan nationals will try to be processed as quickly as possible. And as a reassurance to those Afghan living in Australia on a temporary visa, the government also made clear that they will not be forced to go back to Afghanistan if their safety is jeopardized, and that they will be supported. Well, that's the run-up of all the changes and updates for September 2021. If you have any questions about how these changes may affect you or benefit you, please don't hesitate to reach out to us or leave a comment and questions, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. You can find our contact details in the description and in the comments. So feel free to send an email or call with an inquiry, and our advisors will be there for all your visa needs. Wonderland Consulting is here to help you. As always, thank you for watching.